Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu.
We have submitted the entire Nama Sankirtan at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, feeling deeply grateful for the opportunity. Be there a situation or not, let us go on singing the divine name, not only for the benefit it showers upon us, for the sheer joy of it. In bhakti, someone asked me once, chanting the name, what is the use, especially when you do not have anything at all to ask for? I said, chanting the name is in itself its fulfillment. In fact, the very first time I came to Bhagwan, the very first thing that he told me, do not ask this beggar for anything, not even self-realization. Of course, it doesn't mean that we should not ask at all. When there is a need to ask for something, it is better to ask God than to ask people and be insulted or turned out. So, when we make God our closest friend or a relative or the master, we can ask for anything, but after asking for that, we should trust His wisdom and judgment, and whatever He gives, we have to accept as His verdict and the best. Yesterday, I was telling you what it means to do Namaskar, that Bhagwan was commenting that many people show love towards this beggar, many prostrate before this beggar, but this beggar cannot take every Namaskar as surrender. If this beggar does not do anything, something that they expect, then they will start abusing this beggar. As long as this beggar is able to give father is able to give something that they asked for, they will put me on the pedestal. But something goes wrong once. They won't be able to reconcile to that, and then they start throwing abuse. So when such people come and do Namaskar, this beggar cannot take it as true Namaskar. Namaskar means, I am ready to obey. I trust your wisdom. I trust your command. I am ready to obey you. I am humble. Out of humility, you say that. Now we shall see another teaching of Bhagwan. Bhagwan says, whatever happens only by God's will, and whatever happens is the best that can happen at that moment, and whatever happens is necessary for our spiritual growth, and whatever happens is a definite blessing. His grace, Father is perfect, and therefore His Leelas are perfect. There is no need to complain or grumble. Now, in Sudama, some book or the other would be coming by post to Bhagwan, and then he would ask us to read out. There were some stories from Ramakrishna Mutt. They had published a book. We happened to get it, and then Bhagwan asked us to read. Now, one of the stories was to illustrate the statement, whatever happens is a blessing. Many people would have heard the story even before. All the same, it explains very well what Bhagwan means by his statement, whatever happens is grace. There was a king who slipped down while bathing and hurt his hand. Immediately, when he came out, he called this minister and said, "Look, I have broken my hand." But all that minister said was, "Oh, that is grace. That is for our good." You can imagine how angry the king would have felt. He flared up. "How dare you say it? When I have broken my hand, I am suffering from pain. I'm thinking of all the inconveniences it's going to cause. You must be sad too. But all that you can say is, it's good for me. How dare you say it? Now I know you have betrayed the trust I had in you. You deserve to be thrown into the prison." So the minister was thrown into the prison. But even then, he was still smiling, undisturbed by this move from a very friendly king. He still said, "O king, even this is good for all, good for me. This is grace." Now the king again got angry, but then he had already given punishment. So he left it at that, thinking that this man is incorrigible. I cannot correct him. And slowly his hand healed. There was only a mark, a scar left there. And after that, his favorite sport was hunting, as it always was in those days with the kings. So he started on a hunt expedition, And of course, he could not take the minister because the minister was in prison. He went alone with his other ministers and then into the forest. They came across the tribals, the wild tribals. And the tribals somehow overwhelmed these people and dragged the king, looking at his handsomeness, liking everything about him, the way he conducted himself. The appearance. So they dragged him. They tied him up and dragged him to their temple. The tribals had a habit. They should find a perfect man and offer him to the deity. So when he was tied up before the goddess of the tribals, they had to have a good look at him. They had to scrutinize if he had any part of his body if there is any repairing to be done. It should be flawless. There should be no flaw anywhere. He seemed perfect until they came to his hand, and then they saw the scar. Immediately they ran to their master there, the tribal leader, and he did not approve of this king as an offering to God. So he was released. And that is when the king realized what the minister said was right. But for the scar, he would not have been spared at all. So the very falling down proved to be a blessing in disguise. So he came speedily, and then he released the minister from the prison and said, "Whatever you said about my hand has come to pass. I'm thankful to you for saying it, though I didn't understand at that time. But now, when I threw you into the prison, again you said, this was also God's grace. This was good for you. What did you mean? How is it good for you, my throwing you into this prison? You must have suffered quite a bit." The minister said, "O king, don't you understand? Had you not thrown me into the prison, I would have come with you on the hunt. And then as soon as they would have trapped both of us and tied up, and as soon as they found out that there was a blemish in you, they would have turned to me and found me perfect as an offering to their goddess. I would have been killed immediately. You see, God is so kind. He made you throw me into the prison and spared my life." Now you see in the story, it is so very clear how every adversity means a certain blessing in disguise. When you look back after a happening which you think is very negative, that you have suffered, you can never call it a blessing. Wait till after some time, and then you would be surprised how it turns out to be a blessing. Had this not happened, the achievement would not have happened either. You see in the Puranic stories, had Rama had he not been sent to the forest, Ravana, the Rakshas, the demon, would not have been killed. And he was playing havoc with the lives of so many beings at different levels, the Devatas, the Rishis, and the humans. So adversity turns out to be a blessing in the end. Very difficult to understand in the middle or in the beginning, but in the end, you will surely know that that was a stepping stone to success. So, I remember one day in Sudama, Bhagwan was seated under the gooseberry tree. And then something happened. We don't have to go into the details of that. And then Bhagwan said, Devaki, remember this. Wherever Father keeps this beggar and you, in whatever situation, we not only have to accept it as a blessing from him, but also be grateful to him for that. Of course, with much practice, one can find this to be a blessing. But then, how to be grateful? Bhagwan went one step ahead and said, we should not only accept it, but be grateful to God for it. So this acceptance is the beginning of surrender. When you accept something as God-given and therefore a blessing, there would be no depression. There would be no tension, no grumbling. Any happening is at once the effect of your past karma, some bad karma. If it's a good, bad happening, if it's a good happening, then it is the effect of a good karma. So for one thing, the bad karma is getting spent. The other thing is God always puts a blessing in that. So if we slowly, gradually learn to see only the blessing in any happening, just as the Sataka bird, the Hamsa bird, when you mix milk and water and keep in a vessel, it would come, sit down and drink up only the milk part of it, leaving all that water behind. So in any happening, whatever be the adversity, let us keep it aside and look at only the blessing. When Bhagwan has said, chant the name, chant the name. By chanting the name and practicing to see everything as a blessing will get you nearer God. When you chant the name of God, you are in the Satsang of God. When you read a book of history of a Mahatma, you can be sure that you are in the Satsang of the Mahatma. So let us remember, when we chant the name of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, he is instantly present with us. And we are in the Satsang of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So, remembering God, chanting his name, is one of the greatest practice That will benefit us enormously. Now about the Satsang. You remember Prahlada, Hiranyakashipu. He was the ruler. He was invincible because of the boon he got. And he went about playing havoc everywhere, causing disaster everywhere. His wife, when she became pregnant, because he had gone away far off, he left his wife with Narada, whom he trusted. So his wife was living in Narada's ashram. She was already pregnant, and that's why Hiranyakashipu left her in Narada's ashram. So you see, this lady was in Satsang all the time in Narada's ashram. With the result, the child in her womb became a great Bhakta when he came out. He was listening, even from the womb, he was listening to all the Satsang that was going on in the ashram of Narada. So Prahlada was born. It was he who proved physically that God is present everywhere. When his father challenged him, you speak the praise of Shri Hari all the time, and you say he's everywhere, he's all pervasive. Then show me if he is in this pillar. And then he gave a kick to the pillar. The pillar opened, and true to the statement of Prahlada, Shri Narasimha, an avatar of Shri Hari, jumped out ferociously. God is everywhere, that's true, but how he would manifest? He would come out with peace, he would come out with ananda, or he would come out with ferocity. We do not know in what form he is present everywhere. He is present in a poisonous snake. He is present in the tiger. But when you go near the tiger, it pounces on you. You meddle with the snake, it bites you to death. So the manifestation, the expression of God, though God is everywhere present in everything, his expression at any time will be different according to the situation. The pregnant ladies, taking a lesson from Hiranyakashipu's wife who gave birth to Prahlada, must understand that when they should keep on remembering God somehow or the other, they should read Ramayana. Bhagwan always recommended. If any pregnant devotee came, lady devotee, he would immediately say, start reading Ramayana. Rama's such fine qualities would influence the baby. I remember the story, the Pondicherry mother, she once visited a devotee's house, and the devotee had twins, two beautiful kids, very beautiful, very innocent, very pure. She was so impressed with them, and when she looked at them, she remembered the painter Reynolds, who was very famous in 19th century, and one of his paintings, the twins, became world famous. She remembered that particular painting of his, and then she knew instantly these two girls resembled the twins in his painting, and she was surprised. She asked her mother, "You are twins, they look like the girls in the picture of Reynolds. How is that? There is very little resemblance of you or your husband." That lady said, when I was pregnant with them, every day, as soon as I got up in the morning, I would be looking at this photograph. I had taken a copy of that painting and had it on the wall, right in front of me. So as soon as I got up, I would look at it and then pray to God, my girls must be like this, pure, innocent and joyful. God, oh God, please grant me this prayer. And before going to bed also, I would look at this picture. I would be so much drawn to it, and I would find myself praying to God, please give me twins like this. Probably that is the reason these children resemble those girls in the painting. So you see, during pregnancy, your thoughts, your words, your behavior would influence the child in the womb considerably. So a pregnant mother has to be very, very careful. The child starts learning right from the beginning, right from the time of conception. Why? It has intelligent consciousness. It begins to pick up the vibrations of the mother. So you see, the satsang is very, very important. That was another thing that Bhagwan emphasized upon. I came across a very beautiful story. Swami Vivekananda was once going to some place in the Himalayas. He came across a cave out of curiosity. He went inside. He found a very radiant ascetic sitting there in meditation. He was drawn to him, and after some time, when the saint opened his eyes, Swami Vivekananda fell into a conversation with him. Somehow he asked him if he knew this Pavhari Baba. You see, apart from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the one other person whom he considered as equal to his master was Pavhari Baba. He was also known as Pavhari. You can still see his ashram there in Kashi. So when he asked the saint, the radiant saint, ascetic, if he knew this Pavhari Baba, the saint started to describe a certain event. The radiant ascetic said, "Yes, I know him. You know what he used to do? He lived in a cave also. He always liked to feed the poor people. He would invite and give them food and also clothes. There was a hole in the cave. He would bring out money, food and clothes from that, and he was distributing it freely, especially to the poor people. He just loved feeding people. He looked upon everyone as Narayana. Once a thief came to him because he saw people carrying clothes, vessels and money after food. So he thought this Pavhari Baba had lots of wealth inside. So he started to look for them. At the time Pavhari Baba was fast asleep. So he went to that hole, looked inside, and he could not find anything there. Then he found one or two vessels they had used for cooking. Immediately he gathered, and then he heard some noise. He found that Pavhari Baba was awake. So he got frightened. He gathered as much as he could and then ran away. Now Pavhari Baba, for his part, he had to feed everyone who came to him. It was a compulsion with him. So he just collected food, some food fast, and then some more vessels which the thief could not see. He carried them with great difficulty and ran after this thief. He said, please, please wait. Even these vessels are yours. Everything here is yours. You don't have to run away from me, but please take some food. After coming here, you must take some food. You cannot leave without taking food. Please, please take. So he went after this thief, begging him to take food. He gave him some food and gave some vessels also to him and then sent him. And then the radiant ascetic said, do you know where the thief is now? When Swami Vivekananda stared at him, the radiant ascetic admitted it was he. He came to Pavhari Baba as a thief. He had only probably a few seconds with Pavhari Baba, taking a little food that he offered, and he ran away. Those few moments of satsang with Pavhari Baba had made him an ascetic. You can imagine this is the enormous effect of satsang. A few minutes with Pavhari Baba. So let us remember, when you do Pradakshina, you will know why do we do Pradakshina. We do Pradakshina and then prostrate. We know what prostration means now. Namaskar is offering your obedience to him. It's obedience and also obedience to say, look, whatever you say, I shall take it upon my head and follow it up. I will do whatever you ask me to do. And then we do this Pradakshina. Pradakshina means, God, let my life, let my body unlife, let my mind unlife, body, mind unlife be centered around you. You be the center of my life. Let my life revolve around you. So saying, you go around and then you prostrate so that I obey you. I will do what you ask me to do, unquestioningly. Implicit obedience. Now Bhagwan had repeatedly asked us to chant the name and to know, to remember that we are only instruments in the hands of the Divine, and to do seva to other people as an offering to God. These are his teachings, his commands to us. So when we do prostration, we should remember to follow what he said. We should obey. What does it mean? We must keep on chanting the name just as he commanded. We must go on about our life as an instrument in his hands. And do seva, do every action, even feeding ourselves, our own self, giving a cup of tea or some drink to other people. Always think that you are doing an action for the sake of God, for the sake of Bhagwan, so that every action of yours will become seva to God. Your drudgery in an office, you slog all through the day, and you curse yourself, coming out, my God, what a load it is. How stressed I am. so much work? Why do I have to go through this? What is the point, except that it gives me some money? You feel so stressed out. But if you only look upon this as seva to God, that the drudgery of any work will be gone, and it will begin to assume a new glitter, a new face. You will find that whatever you are doing is meaningful, purposeful, is an offering to God, and therefore puja. It gives you not only money, it gives you a lot of punya also. It makes your life purposeful, the same work. Similarly, the work that we do at home also, even the little work that we do, be it little or big, whatever we do, if we do it with attitude that I'm doing it for the sake of God, as an offering. These are His commands. So when you prostrate to Him, it's not only submitting all your problems at His feet, it can also mean that you have to follow what He said. Most of us think that a Namaskar is only submitting our problems at Him. That's what we say. I used to tell what Bhagwan said. People would write letters and then they would say, Swami, I have surrendered myself completely at your feet. And then they would start listing out what all they want. Then Bhagwan would smile and say, Devaki, see they surrender. They have only surrendered their problems to this beggar. And they talk about their surrender to this beggar. Our Namaskar is also offering ourselves at the feet of the Guru, ready to do his seva, ready to chant his name, ready to offer our entire life for his sake. Now this Bhagwan is here right in front. We shall offer our today's prayers